the World AIDS Day. The Ugandan chapter or the Ugandan celebrations will be held at Kololo Independence Grounds later today. His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of this Republic of Uganda, will be the guest of honor. And of course, this will be live via Honor UBC later. Now let's get into the niceties of this particular day, World AIDS Day. With me in studios is Mr. Richard Kawoya. Good morning, Mr. Kawoya.
Good morning, sir.
I am happy to have you. Richard Kawoya, you are from the AIDS Information Center, is that right?
That's right.
Happy to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you so much for joining. And together with Mr. Kawoya is Mr. Tadeo Tumusime. Yes. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Is it Tumusime?
Yes.
Your name is Tumusime?
Yes.
Also from
AIDS Information
Center.
Yes.
Mr. Kawoya.
Yes, please.
Let's talk about, let's first get the distinction, let's first understand. Many people confuse Uganda AIDS Commission and the AIDS Information Center.
Yes.
What are they?
Thank you so much. Uganda AIDS Commission is the umbrella organization which brings together all organizations which work on issues related to HIV and AIDS in Uganda. So we are all members of the Uganda AIDS Commission, actually the umbrella organization, yes, which regulates and controls all HIV and AIDS related organizations in the country. However, AIDS Information Center, we are an NGO, a national NGO, which started 21 years back. That was on the 14th February 1990.
On Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day, yes. That's when it started, and now we've been in service for the past 21 years. We are regionally located in Uganda. Here we have our regional office in Kampala, and then if you go to Eastern Uganda, that is Jinja, we have an regional office which works in the Busoga region.
Okay.
Then if you go to Bugisu, you have another regional office in Mbale. And then you go to Teso, you have another regional office in Soroti. Then when you go to West Nile, we have another regional office in West Nile, that is Arua. Then in Mbarara, Ankole, we have another regional office in Mbarara, and then Kabale finally. And Lila, lastly Lila, in Lango region.
Okay.
Yes, so we provide quite a number of integrated health services, and we are proud to continue serving Ugandans since we've been there for the past 21 years.
Okay, you are a prevention officer at the AIDS Information Center, is that right?
Yes.
So what do you do as a prevention officer?
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm the one in charge of all prevention services in AIDS Information Center, Kampala Regional Branch. So I coordinate all HIV-related prevention services and other preventable diseases. Like, for example, conducting community outreaches. We provide counseling and testing services. We encourage people to come and seek HIV-related services because the only way you can fight HIV is through knowing one's status. That's why I have a slogan which goes, knowledge is power, take an HIV test today.
Okay.
Because you can't start treatment before testing, right? You can't know what your HIV status is. You cannot prevent or protect your partner before having an HIV test, right? Okay. So when we come for an HIV test, we engage you in a thorough counseling session. We sensitize you, we educate you, and we support you. Okay. If you are negative, we encourage you to continue remaining negative. If you test positive, we support you still. Start treatment, and then you protect the others from contracting the virus.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Tumusime Tadeo, you too, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us here. And of course, you're also from the AIDS Information Center.
Correct.
What do you do?
I'm the programs coordinator. I do coordinate community activities alongside my brother Kawoya. And within this package, of course, there's a lot of things. As he says, AIDS Information Center offer a comprehensive HIV and other related services. So predominantly, of course, we were known for HIV AIDS, but of course we expanded the scope beyond HIV because the face of HIV changed way beyond with the learning, continuous learning that we've had. So we've seen that actually focusing on HIV alone actually may not end the problem. There are other factors surrounding HIV, for example, sexual reproductive health, issues to do with gender-based violence, issues to do with economic empowerment, issues to do with policy processes, development and implementation. So, I'm involved in quite a number of programming to make sure that we effectively contribute towards the fight against HIV and other preventable diseases in this country.
Okay, before I get into all these details, my colleague was with me in studios this morning, Ruben Impima, Chivirango, and he talked about the ABC.
Yes.
And he asked me a very blunt question. Which of these is the easiest? Okay. Which of these is easy? Tadeo, A, B, and C. He actually asked me a question, what is easy? And I said, no, the experts are coming. I don't know what is easy.
In fact, all of them are easy. It's all about the mindset. Yes, abstinence is possible, especially when you're younger. But even when you grow and you decide to reach a stage that actually you would love to focus, okay, on other aspects, and you, especially when you no longer need to engage in sexual activity for purpose of reproduction and pleasure, so you may actually decide to abstain. In situations where, for instance, maybe you are off your home, okay, and you are not in touch with your partner, you can decide to abstain. Then, going on to faithfulness, okay? The second B is about, the B is be faithful. Be faithful. Of course, as I said, it's a matter of mindset. Of course, it is very, very important for every person out there who wants to control or prevent HIV infection to be faithful to their partners. Because we have seen that actually the drive of the HIV pandemic in this and epidemics in this Uganda has really relied much on being not faithful to the sexual relationships that you have. Of course, if you have a partner, there's no much necessity to go extramarital, especially when you are not protected, okay? So being faithful actually is a center of HIV prevention, especially being faithful with the person with whom you know their HIV status. The third element of condom, of course, condom use is extremely important, especially in situations where A and B has failed. Very, very important. So condom use, of course, has been overemphasized over the past, especially for people who engage in extramarital sex, okay? And maybe for those who are intending to do family planning using that kind of modality. So overall, the ABC, all of them are equally important, and I would think that none of them at population level is extremely important, but at individual level, you may decide to see which one is most important and most appropriate at a particular point in time.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we talk about the World AIDS Day today, and of course with me in studios the experts here, Mr. Tumusime, Programs Officer from AIC, and Mr. Richard Kawoya, the Prevention Officer, also from the AIDS Information Center. Let me come to Mr. Kawoya. Yes, let's now get into the statistics, because we can't talk about AIDS and we do not talk about statistics. So many of the reports available indicate and show that our prevalence rates in the early 90s were up to about 18%. And we saw those numbers dropping to 6.3% in, I think, by about 2000, the early 2000, 2005, 2006, and about. Another study or report that was done in 2011, it showed that we had actually, again, gone back high, rising from 6% to now 7.3%, with an infection rate of 130,000 new infections every year. You are the prevention officer, and our numbers just seem to be rising. What is not happening to us? What aren't we doing? And what we do? Or let's first understand these statistics before we even get meaning out of them. Okay,
thank you so much. It's estimated right now in Uganda, about 1.5 million Ugandans are living with HIV. 1.5 million Ugandans are living
of the 40 million people. Of
the 40 million people, yes, living with HIV, of which adolescent girls and young women, they're the most infected. They're the drivers of the epidemic right now.
Adolescent girls and young women. Who are these that we're talking about?
Yes, those are girls between the ages of
high school and university.
Yes, about there are those who are out of school actually in that age bracket of 15 years to 24 years.
Of course, there are those that would be in high school or university.
Exactly. They're the drivers of the epidemic simply because they are so vulnerable. They are so vulnerable. They have less negotiation skills. They cannot negotiate even proper condom use, and besides that, they need a lot of material things, right, which sometimes lure them into having unprotected sex with infected men, right? So out of that, if you look at the current statistics, about 21,000 Ugandans succumbed to HIV-related illnesses. That is according to UFIA. And then 53...
Between which period is that now?
That was 2019.
2019.
The latest statistics, 2019.
Okay. 2019.
About 21,000 Ugandans, of which now the current prevalence is at 5.8%, approximately 6. Every out of 100 Ugandans, 6 of them, that's the prevalence rate, contract HIV, right? So if you look at the recent statistics, that was 2019 still, 53,000 Ugandans contracted HIV. 53,000 Ugandans. Being that a year has 365 years, that means if you calculate that, about 145 of them per day contracted HIV. Right?
Every single day?
Every single
140 day. People are getting HIV.
145 people, right? Yes. So now, you've asked the reason as to why. There was a time where at 18%, then government came in. So many interventions came in and the prevalence was lowered down. Again, yes, there was a time it came to about 7.3, it became 6.2, and right now it's at 5.8. Yes, we are so many players who are together being led by the government of Uganda, who are actually in this field of fighting HIV, you know. Yes, there are so many government hospitals, there are so many NGOs, and many other organizations who are doing this kind of work. And what I should say, yes, right now being that we're at 5.8, yes, it still shows a little bit high, still high, but we need to do what we are supposed to do to reduce it to 0. That's why we come to the 95%.
Which we'll talk about.
Yes.
I'll come to 95. Yes. Mr. Tadeo, what do these statistics mean to us when we hear 1.5 million Ugandans have HIV/AIDS, when we hear that 21,000 succumbed, when we hear that 50,000 in a particular year contracted? What do all these statistics mean to us when you give them out to the public?
To me, we should actually be extremely concerned because it is common knowledge that actually the young generation is the future generation.
True.
So if we have a generation that is actually highly affected and infected by HIV/AIDS, it means that actually we need to be extremely careful, especially as we plan towards the Vision 2040, as we plan towards ending HIV 2030, as we plan any other issues that we are actually fronting as a country at national and at global scene. We need to prioritize the young people. That is the first thing. Secondly, it means that these young people are actually continuously going to infect others, because within this age category, that's when people are starting to exercise, trying to learn more about sex. It means that if we do not protect them, because they are energetic, 1, and 2, many of them are out of school, and actually they end up indulging into unsafe sexual practices. 3, we have so many older people who actually end up sexually interacting with these young people. So it means actually the young, the old are all unsafe. That means actually the country, if I wrap up, the country is not safe because there's a lot of cross-generational sex happening, okay? And these young people are not yet to give up because there are so many other factors, including, of course, poverty being one of the core issues that the country actually must handle, because the young people, most of them, may end up actually engaging into unwanted sex or end up into unsafe sexual practices simply because they are looking for what to eat. They admire beautiful things and they end up going into people who have the money, and unfortunately they either go along with the HIV and infect the older people, or contract the HIV virus from the older people. So what does that mean? This very young girl has also a network of so many other young boys. And of course, this puts us in a total dilemma if we do not focus on young people.
Okay.
At this point.
There have been lots of interventions, of course, that the government has put up, you as NGOs, Uganda AIDS Commission, and different partners, UNAIDS, globally, and all those. And the several campaigns. Now, I pick it up from where he says, you talk about, you envisage a scenario where we now have cross-generational sex relations or so. They've been lots of these media campaigns. I remember, I think Smart Choices, Gen Next campaign. We've had the condoms. We have had quite a number. We've had of Ramu. We've had many of these. What are these interventions that you have, Ndugu
Richard
Kawoya?
Yes.
That you think will have to help us achieve 95, 95, 95, and also talk to us about what 95, 95, 95 by 2030 means?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, we have quite a number of interventions, and these days the biomedical interventions are actually put in place to prevent HIV, right? Biomedical interventions, a lot of research has been done related to how we can prevent HIV using the medical kind of interventions, right? Like, for example, these days, that's why we encourage each and every one. We encourage people to come for an HIV test. The moment we identify someone who's HIV positive, we encourage them to start antiviral therapy immediately. Because a person who is doing well, a person who starts antiviral therapy, takes the medicines very well, adheres very well, it reduces even the chances of infecting others. Science has proved that. Once a person who starts antiviral therapy, takes his or her medicines very well, even though later and it gets suppressed, even though he gets tempted to have unprotected sexual intercourse, if someone is negative, chances are very, very, very minimal to infect someone new. So that's why we said the 95, 95, 95. If 95% of Ugandans who are living with HIV get tested, right, then 95% of them have tested positive, start antiviral therapy, right? And then 95% of them get suppressed. By the year 2030, we believe there will be no more new HIV infections in the country. But the challenge we have, there are quite a number of people down there in the community who are living with HIV, but they've never tested, they are not aware about that. And they continue to engage into unprotected sexual intercourse, hence, which makes them to infect more other Ugandans. That's why I call upon Ugandans. And as I talk even right now, I call all organizations around, the government of Uganda and all the health facilities to provide these integrated HIV prevention services, right? Yes, so as AIDS Information Center, as I talk right now, even we have the teams in the communities, they are extending these services to the communities. However, in addition to that, much as we've talked about adolescent girls and young women, there are still other populations which are at a very, very high risk of contracting HIV. Yes, apart from the adolescent girls and young women, we know that the sex workers, you know, by the nature of the work they do, they're also at a very high risk of contracting HIV and spreading the virus. Then we've got also, we've got people who use drugs, people who inject themselves with drugs. Those people, they're also part of the key population. They're also at a very high risk of contracting HIV and spreading it because of the nature they conduct themselves. So I would encourage us to put all those biomedical interventions. One, the people test, those who are positive, start at. Then we have other programs like, you've heard about PrEP?
PrEP?
Yes, PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. Yes, it's a kind of a biomedical intervention which we give to those people at a high risk of contracting HIV. We take them through a process, have them tested, counsel them, and then we are given that daily tab. They take that medicine such that after a certain period of time, if one takes that drug, you know, on a daily basis, even him or her gets exposed through unprotected sexual intercourse with someone who is infected, then that PrEP can protect him or her from contracting the virus. Then we have another biomedical intervention of PEP, right? We've had cases of people who sometimes get raped or defiled, right? We've had sometimes could be a health worker and happens to get occupational hazard. Maybe you are pricking someone who's HIV positive, accidentally also get pricked. We also have that intervention of PEP. We give it to someone who has been raped.
What is it called?
PEP, yes, PEP
To mean?
is post-exposure prophylaxis. Post-exposure prophylaxis, yes. In case one gets exposed, like if one has been raped, right? And the person who raped her is HIV positive, or suspected to be HIV positive. You can also give that PEP.
After what period of time?
It works within 72 hours.
3 days?
Yeah, 3 days. But the earlier is the better, you know. We encourage people to come earlier. If it has happened, please kindly run to the facility. All government facilities provide this service. All government facilities.
So what does that do? Does it kill the virus, or what does it do?
In simple terms, it protects, because if someone gets exposed to an HIV infection, before 72 hours, the virus, it can create, in simple terms, it can create a strong wall on the white blood cells of that particular person has been exposed, such that the virus does not penetrate into the white blood cells to reproduce other copies of HIV. Yes, in simple terms, that is the simplest explanation I can give.
So PEP is a guard against the virus spreading
exactly,
in the body, in the first hours.
Exactly, in the first hours. It works within 72 hours. So it's part of the information we share with the communities. Every time we go to communities, every time we receive clients, we integrate our services, counsel them, sensitize them along that. So encourage that. What about the VMMs also? It's part of the biomedical prevention. We encourage all eligible men to go and have them circumcised, right? Because there's that 60% of one enjoys if he or she is circumcised. Once a man is circumcised, he's protected by 60%. However, we emphasize, much as one gets circumcised, they should continue abstaining. Those who are not ready, let them continue being faithful.
Or using condoms.
Or use condoms.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll just take a break, and when we return after the break, we'll continue with the conversation over the World AIDS Day today, and of course, with the experts in studios, Mr. Richard Kawoya, the Prevention Officer from the AIDS Information Center, and Mr. Tumusime. You forget the other name? Tadeo. Mr. Tumusime Tadeo, the Programs Officer also from the AIDS Information Center. We'll take a break and return.
Thank you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Introducing the all-new Roofing's TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend services. Roofing's, strength of a nation. It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Raising voices.
As a community member, I think we need to change in the way we act in response to violence against children. In my small way, I can be a leader in preventing violence in my community. I promise to work with my neighbors to create violence-free homes and communities for our children.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from the break. My name is Jagenda Semakola Ziksoka. We carry on and continue with the conversation and of course talk about the World AIDS Day today. I promised and told you that we will have the national celebrations coming in from Kololo later, where His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will be addressing the nation on this day as the guest of honor as Uganda marks and celebrates the World AIDS Day today. In studios with me is Mr. Tadeo Tumusime from the AIDS Information Center and Mr. Kawoya. Richard also from the AIDS Information Center, of course, talk about this. They are the most competent people to talk to us about HIV and AIDS when it comes to a day like today. Mr. Tumusime, a question just came through here on WhatsApp to ask that what's HIV and AIDS? We normally hear these semantics from you. All of us have HIV, and I think all of us don't have AIDS. Or all of us have AIDS, and all of us don't have HIV. So give us a sense of this.
Okay, thank you so much. HIV is a virus, human immunodeficiency virus. And that is the virus that my colleague Kawoya has been talking about. That virus is very stubborn, that it can, when it enters your body, it weakens your immune system. So once your defensive mechanism has been depleted or has been fought down, then it gives an opportunity.
There is what you call the immunocompromised. When your immunity has been compromised.
Exactly. Correct. When your immunity has been compromised or made weak, then it gives an opportunity for so many other infections to easily affect you or attack you. So once that opportunity comes, of course, there are so many conditions that can set in. Issues of tuberculosis, issues of diarrheal diseases, issues of so many attacks, pneumonia, issues of fevers, issues of meningitis, so many other can attack you. So at that point, when you have several infections attacking you, and you are, because of your weakened immune system, that's the point when the combination of all those diseases that makes up AIDS, which is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Yes.
Okay, very important. Mr. Kawoya was speaking to us and telling us about the 95, 95, 95, and that's by 2030. We of course plan and say we want to see 95% of the population testing for HIV. Now we talk about a population of 40 million people, 40 million Ugandans. And the statistics that you have indicate that 1.5 million Ugandans are those that have been confirmed to have HIV AIDS in this country, because these are the ones who have actually gone to test to know what they are. What plans we have as a country, or as you now, people advocating for this, to see that we achieve 95, to get everybody go and test? For example, I'll tell you something. When a woman is pregnant, she will definitely be tested. She will definitely be tested to be able to manage the EMCTC. And in most cases, these men, of course, there's no man who can get pregnant without a man, except for the Virgin Mary. Now, when this lady goes for antenatal and she's tested, you'll find that one to Musime, one Kawoya, one Semakora will not want to go and possibly be tested, or even just disappear. You donate a sperm and go away, and they're not tested. What plans do you have to ensure that people can get to testing to just know? Even when it's not out of a problem, it's not because your wife has gone to for antenatal, it's not because this or that has happened to you. What plans do we have to ensure that we get 95% of our people voluntarily walking into a health facility to say, I am coming to Chisenyi to test for HIV, for my HIV status?
Thank you so much, Mr. Semakula. Yes, first and foremost, we have to look at what prevents people from coming for HIV test, for an HIV test, right? One, the issue of stigma and discrimination. Many people have a lot of fear. You know, they fear the unknown. They fear to go and have them tested. They fear that if I get tested positive, what will happen? So the way we are trying to achieve that, we want to scale up. We're actually scaling up integrated services in the communities. You know, we want to use medias like mass media, like through like UBC here, so that we can talk to the population. Yes, we have to explain to people the benefits of having them tested, you know, because coming for an HIV test has a lot of benefits, right? One, the moment a person happens to get untested, no matter what comes out, whether positive or negative results, it enables one to change the behavior. We very much know the most mode through which one contracts HIV is through unprotected sexual intercourse with multiple sexual partners, of which you may find those who are HIV positive. But the moment you go through that counseling session, it can enable one to change the behavior. If at all, baby, even though you test positive, but you've been having multiple sexual partners whom you've been engaging with, moreover without protection, you can change your behavior and say, look here, I've tested negative, let me reduce on them, or let me protect with a condom, right? Yes, so we want to scale up services, you know, in the communities. We are doing actually what we call target testing right now, you know. We want to target those populations we talked about earlier before, who are at a very high risk of
the most at risk.
Most at risk, you know, the adolescent girls and young women, the sex workers, we
long
have
distance drivers,
we have MSMs, you know, men having sex with men, they are there also. We have, you talked about, we have the truck drivers, you know, people who work around the lakes, the fishmongers, you know, those are the kind of people who want to test actually. So scaling up services, integrated services, quality integrated services, right? Yes, so by using mass media, you know, by scaling up services in the communities, I know, so that we can equip people with a lot of information, because knowledge is power, you know, knowledge is power. That's part of our slogan. Knowledge is power. Can HIV test today? Okay. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Tadeu wants to add something on that?
Yes, I think today's theme of the World AIDS Day is End Inequalities and AIDS. We've seen as a country and actually over the world that there is increased levels of inequalities.
True.
Not every person receives the service at a point that he or she may need it. There are so many people who are out there who may fail to go into a health facility simply because, one, they are not informed, two, the distance between where they are and the health facility is long, three, because of disability, and maybe people do not understand them, and themselves actually sometimes fear to go to the health facility because of health facility related barriers. So as AIDS Information Center, what we have done as much as possible is to go down and find people wherever they are, especially the vulnerable populations. We've spread across the country to do mobile clinics sometimes. We've done targeted testing in hotspots and reached out to people who are in extreme vulnerability to HIV AIDS infection. So as AIDS Information Center, we think by reaching out to people relentlessly, giving them information, once they understand that actually if I test my HIV, if I test HIV, know my status, I can protect myself better than when I'm not aware.
Okay, very important. What are the gaps in all our interventions, in all our campaign, in everything that we're doing as a country to ensure that 9 years from now, by 2030, we have an AIDS-free country, if that is even achievable, because we're talking about a disease that spreads out of lifestyle. That should also be at the back of our minds, that we're also dealing with something that entails lots of lifestyles. What are the gaps in all these things that we're doing, and what solutions we think need to be availed or put into place to fit in these gaps?
Yes, I'm glad that we are having this show when the president is going to address this country shortly. I think largely one of the gaps we have in this country is health financing, and I'm talking about domestic health financing. We see that we have so many areas that are really very, very fundamental if we are to improve health services in this country. We are seeing that, of course, if we do not have finances, adequate financing, that is going to help us to work on the infrastructure, to work on medicines and supplies, to work on the human resources for health, to make sure that every health facility is adequately equipped with skilled health workers. Every health facility and actually community health systems are adequately equipped with the tools, adequately equipped with finances and the transport system to make sure that services reach out to the people
so
the time they need them.
Health financing is one of those. And I think the Abuja Declaration of 2015, I'm trying to remember, that talked about, I think, a 15% budget financing for health financing for our national budgets. It's still a dream far away from reality in many of our countries. But are you thinking, or are you telling us that if we had actually gotten that money, if we can get 15% of our national budgets to finance for health, would that enable us, would that help us manage the problem that we have?
Definitely. By the time we endorsed onto that declaration, there were discussions. And actually, there's so many teams that sat in Abuja envisioned that actually by adding that 15% of the total national budget would actually at least end the current crisis in health. It may not be completely, but at least to a level that actually basic needs are reached to every person who needs those kind of services at the right time. For me, I think that is very perfect. In fact, I know that if it may not be achieved today, if it can be done, even if it is staggered, because because I was reading a report, I think as of the last financial budget, I think we are at around 7.2% towards the 15%. So even if it is staggered, for me as a health worker, I would think that if it can be made in a way that maybe we add additional 5% in this upcoming financial year, then add another 5%. In the next 2-3 years, we shall be at 15%. And this actually will help the country.
Time is running out. Mr. Kawoya, talk to us about how you've managed in the past 2 years where we've had COVID-19. COVID set into our country in March last year. We've had it for a complete over 23 months in this country. I want to know how you've been managing, because all our synergies and efforts have been put to combating and fighting COVID-19. And of course, not done so much with HIV and AIDS. How have you been managing?
Yes, thank you so much. We did not close, being that we are a health facility, though of course we had to adhere to the SOPs of COVID-19 prevention, and then we integrated service provision with the COVID-19 prevention kind of SOPs, right? So our offices remained open. People still kept on coming in to receive services, though in one way or the other still there was some reduction of people access services, because there was a time when we were in total lockdown. Transport was a problem, was a challenge. But however, all the same, we continued extending community services to those vulnerable people who really needed those services, like the key population I've talked about, who had a very high risk of contracting HIV. So what we did and what we've been doing, we've been having what we've been calling mobile clinics, right? We would take those services to the communities, but of course putting in place with all COVID-19 prevention SOPs, right? So we would have minimum numbers, minimum numbers, because we have people to treat. We have over 1,000 people, like in Kampala here, who access at services. By the time when we've been in the lockdown,
to mean antiretroviral
therapy, yes, yes. So for those who are unable to come and access the treatment, sometimes we would send the medicines to them through the various transport means. The borders would write the treatment to them. Sometimes we would visit those communities, those hotspots where we get those people high risk of contracting HIV, and we provide services. And then we use what we call the mobile clinic. A mobile clinic does not attract the massive people, a large crowd of people. We would work with the area LOCs, we would work with the VHTs, we would have enough sanitizers, we would give masks to those clients who would come and access services, and we continue providing services to them so that they don't miss out. Because with HIV, the moment one starts antiviral therapy, they don't have to miss. If they miss it out, then it can cause other complications and other issues which may be difficult to solve. So we continue service provision throughout even the COVID-19. However, the most important thing we've done was integration. These days, even as we provide counseling services to our clients, we integrate also COVID-19 prevention. We encourage people to go and have them vaccinated, and we've continued serving them.
Yes. Can people do their own self-testing to know their status? Is there a way that that can be done, and you do it and you encourage people to do it?
Yes, we have a kit. We have a kit we give to people. It's a self-testing kit. We sensitize them.
Is it the ELISA kit or so?
Come again?
Is it the ELISA? You call it ELISA?
Yes, that only pass through the mouth. It's a swab, yes. We encourage them to use it. However, of course, we sensitize them how to use it, and whichever result comes out, if at all it needs more confirmation, to encourage them to come and then we have it confirmed. So we also give it out to those key populations in the community.
Wouldn't you think that would be one of the ways to achieve the 95% for testing? That if these are available to all persons, and somebody just knows in confidence that I have tested negative or I have tested positive, and when I test positive, I know how to walk into a health facility and possibly talk to a practitioner or whoever is there to say, I did this test at home and my results indicated positive. what needs to be done. So what do I do? Would it not be a good step?
Yes.
I'm only thinking.
Yes, in one or the other, it has improved also on the number of people who have tested, right? Because there are those who fear these pricks. One will tell you, I can't go for an HIV test because I fear my body to be pricked. But the one they use, yes, if it indicates something, of course, we encourage them to come for a confirmatory. In one or the other, it has increased the numbers. We've tested it out. We work closely with the IDI in Kampala here, and people, it is increasing the numbers. But all the same, what is very important, what I think, is the people to appreciate the benefits of having them tested for HIV. Since it's the gateway to HIV prevention, treatment, care, and support.
Okay. Finally, from you, Mr. Kawoya, in just one other minute, because we have about 2-3 minutes to get out of studios. Your final message to the people on this particular day of World AIDS Day.
All right, yes. World AIDS Day, I encourage all people to pray for those who succumb to AIDS, and also we encourage those who are living with HIV not to lose hope. Let them continue taking their medicines. Yes, having HIV and AIDS doesn't mean that you are dying the following day. So let them not lose hope. And even with the family members, the people who live with those who are living with HIV in the communities, we need to support them. Don't stigmatize them, support them such that they can live a good life. Then for those who are not HIV, who are not or have not yet tested, they encourage them to come for an HIV test so that it can enable them to prevent HIV. Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Tadeo Tumsime, your final message to the people on World AIDS Day today.
One, I reassure you that AIDS Information Center is here to support HIV-related services. And two, I request, of course, I'm using this platform to applaud the president who have recently showed a lot of willingness to offer financing, sufficient financing to the health sector. I also encourage him to fulfill the Abuja Declaration, the 15%. I'm sure it is achievable. I know he's really so much into that line, into health promotion and so on. So that's a very good direction. Of course, we know that the health of the country starts with the health of the population. If the population is not safe, then the country may not be safe. The second thing that I really need to inform viewers is that COVID is still real in this country and the world at large. So let us be precautious as we fight HIV, let us fight COVID, because if HIV alone is a problem, what about the duo and all other diseases that we have in this country? So let us do our part. We prevent HIV. If we have HIV, let us take our medicines correctly as prescribed, and then encourage others. Then in line with the theme of the day, yes, I encourage every single health worker to fight as much as possible to end inequalities in the service delivery, and encourage government to make sure that we tailor our policies. Our policies towards ending inequalities, and actually we finance the implementation of those policies.
Okay, well, I want to thank you all gentlemen, Mr. Richard Kawoya, the Prevention Officer at the AIDS Information Center, and Mr. Tadeo Tumsime, the Programs Coordinator, also from the AIDS Information Center. Thank you for having allowed to join us here today and on our Good Morning Uganda extra program, to just let the public know that later we'll be covering the event that will be at Kololo Independence Grounds, where His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will be officiating as guest of honor at the World AIDS Day celebrations today. Thank you so much, and of course to you out there, they still emphasize very important that you can go test and know your status, and once you know your status, both positive or negative, it actually tells you what to do next. Having known, there is nothing that you can do unless you know what your status looks like. You can't say let me rush for ARVs or ARTs unless you know what your status looks like. So it's just very important that we go test and know our status, which of course also shapes and helps us to make the next move with our lifestyles and behaviors. And finally, they also have the ABC, which is a song that we've sung for decades. Abstain, be faithful, or use a condom, and the religious leaders say you can accept Christ. That's from me, Jagan Asemakola Ziksoka, and the gentlemen in studios. For God and my country stay blessed, and a blessed World AIDS Day today. Good morning.
Live from Uganda.
KBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.